I've heard a lot of people talking about Jimmy Kimmel, what he said about Charlie Kirk, what he said about MAGA, FCC, Donald Trump. I've heard all this for a week now, but the most important point, the most ironic point, is something I haven't heard. Hello, I'm O Speaks. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, share the video. Jimmy Kimmel got into some trouble, and this is what he said.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
All right, so obviously, that's not true. We found out that's not true, but the left was pushing this narrative that somebody in MAGA was the one who shot Charlie Kirk. I won't say immediately. I believe it was the next day. Sinclair, who is a conglomerate that owns a lot of radio stations, came out and made this statement. Regardless of ABC's plans and the future of the program, Sinclair intends to not return a Jimmy Kimmel Live to our air until we are confident that appropriate steps have been taken to uphold the standards expected of a national broadcast platform, Sinclair said. Jimmy Kimmel made the remarks in his monologue Monday suggesting allies of Trump were trying to use Kirk's assassination for political gain, and that an actual supporter of MAGA was the one who shot him. Nexstar was the other media conglomerate that owns a lot of the affiliates, and they said Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive, insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse. We do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, values of our local communities in which we are located, said Andrew Alford, president of Nexstar Broadcasting Division. In a statement, he also said, continuing to give Mr. Kimmel a broadcast platform in the communities we serve is simply not in public interest. At the current time, we have made the difficult decision to preempt his show in an effort to let cooler heads prevail. The thing about this is that's been their position this whole time. He wasn't canceled. They said, I think they used the word indefinitely suspended or something along those lines. They never said that he was canceled. So what ended up happening is the head of the FCC came out and made some remarks about why he doesn't believe that Jimmy Kimmel deserves to be on air. So the media, and of course Ben Shapiro, ran with the position that Trump and the FCC are the reason that Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air. Now, Nexstar put out a statement saying the decision to preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live was made unilaterally by the senior executive team at Nexstar, and they had no communication with the FCC or any government agency prior to making that decision, a Nexstar spokesperson told CBS in an email. So they're saying, no, it had nothing to do with the FCC or what he said, but the media is running with this story, and so is Hollywood. It's not stopping.
These affiliates who are owned by folks who have merger interests here don't seem to be that upset by what the FCC is doing. But for example, if you had a situation where an owner of affiliates was upset at the network itself from yanking the content, that could give rise to a legal claim. Again, depending on the nature of the contractual arrangements between the network and independent owners of affiliates that air its programming.
So they're pushing the narrative regardless. They don't care. They couldn't care less. That's MSNBC. That's what they do. Let's hear what this gentleman has to say.
I find this chilling. I mean, Kimmel was doing what he always does. He was authentic Kimmel. Not a surprise he would go there. And probably not a surprise by Disney, who saw the show being taped, he was going to say it. So I think Kimmel maybe being, while the Disney may not like the backlash and the sensitivities, they knew what they were getting when they had this come on.
400 plus celebrities signed the ACLU's open letter condemning ABC/Disney's suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live. The signees include people like Selena Gomez, Olivia Rodrigo, Ben Platt, Alla Yankovic, Meryl Streep, Bryan Cranston, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Tom Hanks, Jennifer Aniston, Robert De Niro, and so many more. And it's so interesting that a lot of these celebrities were completely silent when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, which felt like an infringement upon free speech to me.
And that is it's such an interesting and good point that not enough people are talking about. They're more upset that Jimmy Kimmel was suspended by Disney than a man getting shot in the head in front of his kids and wife. That's what they care about. Apparently, that's all they care about. Because most of those people had nothing to say, and a lot of them weren't empathetic when they did say something on the left. This is what we're dealing with. Let's listen to Colbert talk about this.
What they claim, this is not entirely about what Jimmy said on Monday. This was part of a plan. He defunded PBS and NPR and has already found his next target. Last night he posted, Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled. That leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers, on fake news NBC. Well, you heard the man. I guess we're all going to end up working at our new podcast, Fired Force 5.
It's interesting because, again, forget about what you hear. Forget about what Disney, Nexar, Sinclair, forget about what everyone's saying. Listen to me. I need to push this narrative. They're pushing a narrative that the FCC, at the direction of Trump, who is obviously a tyrant and a fascist, is censoring. The government is censoring a talk show. And they insist on pushing this.
I just canceled my Disney Plus and Hulu subscriptions. And they asked me why. I hit other, and I wrote, because I believe in the First Amendment, reinstate Jimmy Kimmel. Now, don't go to the theme parks. Don't go on the cruises. Cancel your subscriptions.
This cancellation is the United States government coming and taking your voice away from you. Think of yourselves living under the Taliban, because that's where we're headed.
Think of yourselves living under the Taliban, because that's where we're headed. That's the worst Hulk ever, Mark Ruffalo. But when you look back at his old tweets, 7:04 p.m. on January 6, 2021, he said that a ban, he was talking to, at the time, Twitter's CEO, a 12-hour ban is not enough for Trump. We need to ban him for life. Then on the 8th, when a decision was made to ban Trump, Mark Ruffalo said, thank you, Twitter and board. Ban Trump, save democracy. Remove Trump now. Do you think these people understand what they're saying?
I don't think Jimmy Kimmel should have made that remark, but I also don't think Jimmy Kimmel should be canceled for that. But I think there's bigger things at play. I think it was a business decision. I think it's being handled terribly. I don't believe in cancel. They canceled Al Franken. They canceled Shane Gillis. I didn't agree with that. Spoke on that. Louis C.K. and so forth and so on. You Jack at Jack Twitter Jack, you did it. They just banned Dick Stain Donald Trump for life. You're gone. You are gone. They're not gonna ban. Babe, I'm doing a video. Don't do that.
So that was obviously Michael Rappaport, who's actually come around since this last election. He hated Donald Trump, as you could see. He went to X and celebrated Donald Trump being censored. But now you see his position about Shane Gillis and Al Franken and who else he was talking about, and Jimmy Kimmel, saying, I don't believe in censorship. I don't think people should be canceled. This is just what they do.
X, reposting an announcement of Kimmel's suspension and writing, "This isn't right," while Sophia Bush also reposted on X saying, "The First Amendment doesn't exist in America anymore, period. Fascism is here and it's chilling."
Hey everybody. So I'm in a full face of makeup because I was supposed to go over and have a chat with my friend Jimmy Kimmel on his show. But as you have heard by now, the Jimmy Kimmel show has been pulled indefinitely, abruptly, because of complaints from the Trump administration. So let's see. He didn't end the Ukraine war or solve Gaza within his first week, but he did end freedom of speech.
So Trump ended freedom of speech. Well, ironically, on January 8th, 2021, when Trump was kicked off of Twitter, she tweeted, finally told Trump to shut the F up. Can we put them on a family plan? Don Jr., Ivanka, Eric, Tiffany, Jared, you too, Melania. Shut all of those scoundrels down. Censor them. Is that free speech? So they needed to push this government narrative and say that it's Trump, the evil fascist. They literally use the word fascism. So if they don't use the government, then they can't say it's a threat to free speech. So they have to blame it on Trump. They have Trump derangement syndrome. It's clear as day to me, at least.
Within his first year. Hey, for those of you who pray, now's the time to do it. Love you, Jimmy.
Christy Brinkley showed support to Kimmel, reposting a photo of him with fellow comedians Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, John Oliver, and Seth Meyers. The model said in part, "We must protect their and our First Amendment rights."
But The Daily Show, when Donald Trump was kicked off of Twitter, I keep wanting to say X, sorry, said congratulations to the Be Best campaign for finally getting some results. They're directly talking about censorship. It's a late night talk show. Anyway.
Donald Trump ripped the Band-Aid off of the nastiness and the incivility that we have in this country and allowed the racists, allowed the white supremacists, allowed those people and gave them permission to be rude and nasty on social media and really in this country. I don't want to see him back on Twitter. And people talking about free speech, you're right, Joy. Free speech is, well, thank you. But free speech is regulated by the government. Right. And so everyone is saying, well, this is the public square. This is the public square. Remember that the public square was regulated by the state. Twitter now will be owned by a billionaire who is the richest person in the world. Why should he be responsible and in charge of free speech, of the public square? I am tired of these billionaires owning space, owning newspapers, owning everything. Sonny, they should not be making these types of decisions.
So once again, calling to keep Trump off social media platforms. Remember, Trump was banned from Twitter for, I think, 3 years, Facebook 3 years, still banned from Snapchat. He was kicked off of YouTube, like literally censorship on every social media platform. But this is the left. This is what they do. Joy Behar, do not let him back onto Twitter. This is when they were weighing the options of bringing him back. And she's responding to whoever these people are, saying Twitter is contemplating eventually reinstating the account of twice impeached traitor, 500,000 murderer, ex-Scrotus. I hope they don't. Twitter is so much better in every way since he's been gone. Please don't retweet for no Twitter support. This doesn't sound like fascism to you? What about this free speech? So she said it doesn't even matter if it's the government or not because it's a billionaire. And billionaires equal bad. This is Meghan McCain saying he's going to burn the White House to the ground when they were talking about reinstating him. And then somebody said, oh, that's a good point, but maybe we should have waited until January 20th. And Meghan McCain says, I totally agree. And in response to the burning the White House to the ground tweet, Whoopi Goldberg said, finally, they got rid of him. This is the left. This is Hollywood. This is what they do. They call you fascists while literally acting like fascists. This is a guy named Majid Padalan, I believe you say it, but he's got over 1 million followers on X. Trump is permanently suspended from Twitter, laughing at him. This is again on January 8th, 2021. Now what he's saying about in the aftermath of Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel being targeted by a thin-skinned toddler tyrant with others in his sights. The threat to free speech has never been more dire. Cancel culture versus the consequence culture versus censorship. It's so dramatic. These hypocrites. No one's talking about this. It's what all of them do. David Pakman's another one. Weird guy. He believes any room he steps into, he's the smartest person, and that's never the case. Even in an empty room, he's still not the smartest person in the room. But anyway, big win. In the battle of ideas and free speech, Roseanne said what she wanted to say. ABC made the business decisions that were right for them. And this was on 5/29 of 2018 when Roseanne got kicked off of ABC and they canceled her show. But now what is he saying about Jimmy Kimmel and ABC, the same people? That was a business against Roseanne. One of the hallmarks of authoritarianism is to terrify people into self-censorship. ABC ending Kimmel's show is a perfect example of this. This is Sacha Baron Cohen, Stephen King, Hillary Clinton, all celebrating getting Donald Trump off of Twitter.
Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack, yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo, rest in peace, Wheezy.
So this shows he has a pattern of, especially around the topic of death, making fun of the topic, which is okay, whatever, free speech. You make up your mind. But what he did there was condemn anyone who wouldn't take a vaccine, and then mocking Joe Rogan, saying that he was taking horse goo or whatever he just said. It's a lie. It's deception. It's manipulation of the people. It's propaganda, literally. Here's another video when Trump got kicked off of Twitter, him celebrating censorship.
Suspended from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and even Snapchat. But don't worry, Mr. President, there are still plenty of apps you do have access to. You still have Spotify to drown out the sound of millions of people cheering as you leave. You still have Pet Finder since you're on the outs with Mike Pence. You have Cameo, which will soon be your primary source of income. You can still play Among Us, a game where everyone accuses each other of being against them. You'd love it. You could play Pokemon Go. You and Donnie Jr. can hunt Pikachus together. And when no one else wants you, don't forget, there's always your old friend, the Domino's Pizza Tracker. Not only did Trump get banned from Twitter, Google, Apple, and Amazon removed the Parler app from their platforms. Parler is where all the right-wingers gather to post QAnon nonsense and misspell the word parlor. Fox News has severed bow ties with Tucker Carlson. After all these years, they are parting ways, which means he was fired. I mean, that's really what parting ways means.
Cheers.
Tucker couldn't be reached for comment. He's already on a plane to Moscow to meet with his manager. But what a shock. I mean, what an absolutely delightful shock this is.
Delightful.
Now Tucker can spend more time at home tanning his testicles and touching himself to that sexy green M&M. Sadly, he's probably not done poisoning old people's brains. The question now is, where will he do it next? Will he go to OAN? Will he go to Newsmax? Will he crawl back up Satan's fiery beehole from whence he came? We don't know. One of the most despicable mother Tuckers ever to appear on American television.
This is the guy that they're talking about free speech. He's celebrating people getting canceled and losing their right to free speech. He celebrated the loss of people's bodily autonomy by wishing death on people who didn't take a vaccine because he said so. This is the man that Hollywood's been rallying for. We're talking about free speech. Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk literally died for free speech. Literally.
So we have a few more minutes to talk about this breaking news. Jimmy Kimmel's return to television before the president at the top of the hour, live from the White House. We'll bring our friend Dominic Patton from Deadline in on all of this. So the suspension ends up being relatively short. There's a lot of speculation about if Kimmel would come back and then when he would come back. Now it's tomorrow night.
It's tomorrow night, which is tonight, which by the time you watch this video, it would have already aired.
I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight. And the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human. And that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. The MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make, but I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. Ever. And also, selfishly, I am a person who gets a lot of threats. I get many ugly and scary threats against my life, my wife, my kids, my coworkers because of what I choose to say. And I know those threats don't come from the kind of people on the right who I know and love. So that's what I wanted to say on that subject.
If this was Trump, if this was the FCC, if this was censorship, name me a fascist regime, a Hitlerian type of person like the evil Donald Trump. Name me one throughout the history of the world that caved to a protest to a company like Disney. Just one. Just name me one. The left always condemns the other side as fascist, evil, whatever, authoritarian, Hitlerian, but then they never follow their logic all the way to the end. If that's true, why did Jimmy Kimmel get back on the air within a week? Could it be that what Sinclair and Nexstar said was true? They just wanted to make sure the climate was down and that Jimmy Kimmel would stop using his platform to inflame a very, very volatile situation at a really, really sick time to do it. Blaming a Trump supporter for killing somebody in front of the world, in front of his kids, in front of his wife. Maybe it's not appropriate to make fun of that and blame the other side and further inflame the political climate. Maybe. I'm Mo Speaks. If you're new here, like, subscribe, share. They never follow their logic all the way to the end. They just say something that sounds good. And then when you follow it all the way to the end, it's like, oh, that can't be true. That can't be true.